I'm taking my 1986 Toyota Corolla out for a drive today. This is my project car, it's my drift car, and it's a fun weekend car. But it wasn't always good at these things. When I bought this car, it was a huge project. And today I'm going to tell you 3 things that I wish I knew before I bought a project car. Now this first thing that I wish somebody had told me about, you might not believe me, and that's that project cars can actually save you money. I'm sure some of you are racing down to the comments right now to argue with me or disagree, but just hear me out, okay? I've got a few reasons why I believe project cars can save you money, although it's worth noting that this largely depends on your willingness to learn. Quite often, project cars can be acquired for a fraction of the cost of a new used car of similar make and model. This initial low cost obviously saves you a little bit up front, and my daily driver is a great example of this. I got it for a great deal, I saved tens of thousands of dollars over buying an equivalent new truck, and this truck is way simpler and more mechanical than a modern truck, and it makes it way easier to do the work myself. If you have any mechanical skills or you're willing to learn, maintaining and repairing your project car yourself can save you significant amounts of money over time. Instead of paying a mechanic for the labor, you pay for some tools that you get to keep forever, and then you only need to cover the cost of the parts, which is way cheaper. It's also very easy for this to snowball. One day you'll decide not to pay a mechanic to replace your headlights, and before you know it, you'll be tackling much bigger jobs. Just last week, I taught myself how to replace the wheel bearings on my truck, and I had no idea how to do that, but I have the tools and I was willing to learn. Working on a project car is probably one of the best ways to learn just general mechanics, how things work. Over time, you'll develop these diagnostic and problem-solving skills from fixing your project car, and before you realize it, you'll have a skill set that can save you money in other aspects of your life. If your washing machine is broken, well guess what? Now you've got tools and you've got mechanical know-how, you can fix these sort of problems. Boom, there you go, save more money. And now with a project car, you have the freedom to customize and modify it to your preferences. Instead of paying a premium at a dealership for features or aesthetics, you can tailor your project car to suit your needs and style without breaking the bank. Now with project cars, especially classic or rare cars, the value of your project car is probably going to appreciate over time. As opposed to buying a new car which loses its value as soon as you drive off the lot, buying a project car and fixing it up, it's only going to gain value. It is essential to approach owning a project car with realistic expectations. If you dive straight into a motor swap like I did on my Datsun, you're going to be spending way more money than you're saving. If you buy something that's already in good shape and just work away at making it better, that's a way better way to go about doing it. And which brings me to my next point, and that is projects are never really finished. Take this car for example. I just finished completely rebuilding the suspension on this car and I already need to make some changes to it. And that's the case with most project cars. Car guys like you and I are always looking for the next thing to do to our car. Trying to get it to look a little bit better, go a little bit faster, or just sound a little bit better. Even if your project reaches a point where it meets your initial goals, there's always going to be that next temptation, that just one more thing you want to do to make it perfect. But that is sort of the fun of owning a project, isn't it? You'll always have a different goal depending on what point of your build you're at, how much of a project your car is. It's great motivation when you hit some of those early milestones, like getting your car running for the first time or finally getting it out on the road. If your car is less of a project than the ones I tend to buy, maybe it's going to be buying your first set of wheels or changing your stereo. As you get more comfortable and more experience with your car, your goals for the project may evolve. What started as simply trying to get it running may progress into trying to have a nice weekend cruiser or a cool autocross car. A cool thing about project cars is that they often reflect the owner's personality and preferences. As your tastes change or evolve, you're probably going to want to update the car to better align with the current style or your current tastes. This could involve anything from changing the color scheme to installing new interior features or even swapping out major parts of the car. My Datsun's a great example of that. For the first 10 years of ownership, I loved just having that as a fun weekend cruiser. I'd sometimes take it out to autocross or track days. And now it's undergoing a full-blown engine swap and it's going to be a pretty serious race car when it's done. Even after all of your extensive restoration or modification work, project cars continue to experience wear and tear over time, just like any other vehicle. Components might degrade, paint's going to fade, mechanical systems are going to need maintenance. Regular upkeep is necessary to make sure that your car remains in good condition, and that's going to lead to ongoing work. And another big thing that keeps you from ever having a finished project car is just the community. Car enthusiasts like you or I often interact with owners and enthusiasts through clubs and groups and car meets, social media especially. Exposure to other projects and ideas, it's going to lead to some scope creep with your own project. You're going to want to keep working on your car, making it bigger, better, badder. You're always going to be incorporating new ideas and techniques that you discover from your peers. Now, the third thing that I wish people had told me before I got into project cars is that it's not a good deal. Even when it seems like a good deal, there's always a reason that it's priced the way that it is. I can't tell you how many times I've come across a smoking deal on Marketplace, loaded up the trailer, grabbed the cash, and raced down to buy it, and then I realize why it's priced the way that it is. You've got to be so thorough when you're looking at your project cars, and that is especially true when you're looking at something that's a good deal. You got to check everything. You never know if they're trying to hide an engine knock by using some thicker oil. Maybe they're trying to hide that the transmission doesn't shift properly, or maybe they took some sneaky pictures and they're trying to hide some of the rust. So anytime you're buying a project car, you need to be thorough when you're looking over it. But especially if you're buying a car that seems like a really good deal, you've really got to do your homework and make sure you know what you're getting into. This also applies when you come across a car that you've never really seen before, but it looks super cool, you're definitely interested and the price is right. You got to look into these things, because if it's rare, chances are the parts are rare too, and that can make things more expensive down the road. Even this car, for example, it's an AE86. They're super popular. They've got big notoriety in drifting. They've got lots of coverage in pop culture, but they're still a pretty rare car, and that makes parts really difficult to get. I actually had to rebuild all 4 brake calipers for this car because there's no OEM alternative for it. And the parts that you can get, quite often you're getting them from Ireland or Japan, and those shipping costs start to really add up if you buy the wrong car. And that doesn't just apply to the cars themselves, that also applies to car parts. I can't tell you how many times I've cheaped out buying a cheaper alternative to a part when there was a more expensive, higher quality version available, and then I get burned. Either the fitment sucks and I'm running around trying to fix that, or they didn't supply the hardware and I'm having to go and buy my own hardware. Maybe it costs me more in time just trying to get the parts to fit right, or it just straight up breaks and doesn't work, and then I've got to go buy the correct parts anyways. So that same mentality can be applied to cars. I think the saying is, buy once, cry once.